Okay, welcome to our first little look at Scratch. You should have downloaded the Scratch desktop. You can use it on the web, but I quite like using it on my computer so that I'm not reliant on the internet. I know that everything I can store here. It's good to share things on the web, but I quite like having it on my machine so I can work with it. Now, one of the first things that people ask me, they say, how can I move this sprite around? Because our sprite sits on a stage, and here we can have loads of instructions, and you can see here we've got loads of code blocks. So we've got things like motion, looks, sound, events, control, sensing, operators, variables, and I can even make my own blocks to do things. So I want to get him moving. So I think what I need is, well, I think move 10 steps looks like that might be quite useful. Look down, so could have a turn, but that's just going to turn him. I think I want him to point in a particular position. I don't think I want him to go to a random position. That could be useful. Here we go, point in direction. So the first thing I want him to do is to point in a direction. Then I want him to move 10 steps. So if I go to my events, I can look here. When clicked, when space key. So let's try that. When space key is pressed, point in direction 90, move 10 steps. So I do that, and obviously direction 90 is to the right. So I might want him to go up. So let's have a look. Click on that down arrow. I've got an up arrow. So now if I press the up arrow, it still goes to the right. So I've got to change something. And here we go. So he's got to point up. So 0 degrees is up. Obviously 90, 180, and I think it usually says minus 90 here. So we've got our 4 points of the compass. So up arrow gets him to go up. And if I right click here, I can duplicate. So now I could go for my down arrow. Makes sense. And instead of pointing upwards with 0, I want him to point down, which is 180 degrees. So I've got my up arrow, I've got my down arrow. Let's just check that, up and down. Okay, so let's duplicate that and let's have a look. I've got my up arrow, down arrow. Now as it's on the left, let's go left, and I want him to go over to the left. So that's minus 90. Do the same again, duplicate, and now I can say I want the right arrow. I don't want him to go minus 90, I want him to go all the way over there to 90. So now I've got my sprite, my cat, going up, going down, him going left, and him going right, which is really useful for when I want to move my character around. Now, you don't have to use the up arrows or down or left or right arrows. You could use other keys like W, A, S and D, W for up, S for down, and A for left and D for right. That means that you could possibly have 2 players playing with different sprites on the same keyboard, which would be quite nice as a sort of 2-player game. So I hope you enjoyed this little introduction and enjoy making your characters, your sprite, move around in Scratch.